Good afternoon, Youngstown. We are back for another episode of the Belly Left Leadership Podcast. I'm your Superintendent Jeremy Batchelor. We hope you've stayed warm. This has been a different winter. I don't know if it's really been different or not, but we're back and we're here with another episode. Remember, the Belly Left Leadership Podcast is a simple football play, but it's not really about football. It is a leadership mantra derived from a football play where we're knowing our assignments, we're running it, and we're executing it. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. We're practicing it. We're doing it over and over again. And then we run it to perfection with execution, and we keep running it until they stop it. And so we have some very, very special guests with us today. All right. And you're going to get to know them. But we have two of the newest members of the Youngstown family with us today, but very important members of the Youngstown family, Dr. Michael Rock and Ms. Marie Spivey, who are our new treasurer and assistant treasurer. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit more about that. But I do want the community to understand something. I want the community to know, remember, this podcast is about leadership, but it's about all things Youngstown and the things that we're doing and telling our own story. And so I need the community to understand Dr. Rock and I are partners. I guess I'm running belly left, he'd be running belly right, okay? And so we're partners, and we both work directly for the Board of Education. The way Ohio law is written, there are two employees that the Board of Education hires, evaluates, and has the potential to move on. That would be myself as superintendent and the treasurer. And so we work directly together. We both report directly to the board. And then he has an assistant treasurer, and that is what Ms. Marie Spivey has taken over. And we have been able to really look at some things differently in Youngstown. And under his leadership, in just a quick time, we've been able to, what I believe has been right-sizing our department and our organization and maximizing efficiency of what we're trying to do. And so welcome to the podcast. Welcome officially again to Youngstown City School District. So I'm going to ask you both to kind of just introduce yourselves to the public. Let us know who you are, your experience and where you come from, and what led you to come to Youngstown. And we'll go ladies first.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Youngstown for such a warm welcome. It has been such a warm welcome. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I have been in the treasurer's office for 23 years.
Okay.
I come from Warrensville City School District, which I am also an alumni. And I have worked myself up in my career. I began as a bookkeeper, and then I was assistant to the treasurer, and then now I'm a licensed assistant treasurer. So that's a little bit about me. My personal life, I have a dog, Roxy.
All right. All right. Shout out to Roxy.
Yes. I have a husband, Reggie, 2 sons, and 3 grandchildren.
All right. How spoiled are the grandchildren?
Very spoiled.
Okay. All right. Dr. Rock, tell us who you are.
Okay, well, I resided in Struthers for the first 26 years of my life, so there's my Youngstown tie right there. And then after graduating from Cardinal Mooney, which we were both our Cardinals here,
yes.
and that's why I'm the belly right and you're the belly left.
Right.
That was the first question I asked you.
Yes.
So I said, did Butchie still run the option? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Anyways, after in those 26 years, near the end, I got a BSBA in accounting at YSU.
Okay.
I was a music major first and was slated to go to Berklee College of Music in Boston, but then they said, why don't you go to YSU for your electives, and led me into going into business.
Okay.
With an accounting degree.
We stop it. Okay. Keep going.
Okay. So then after being at YSU, I embarked on a career in public accounting for the next 10 years and worked for larger and mid-sized and small CPA firms. My career led me into corporate accounting. Then after that, a client of one of the CPA firms. And the reason I'm saying all this is because these are like the steps that led me to Youngstown.
Yeah.
And then when I was there, a close friend of mine got his school treasurer's license. And by then I said, boy, that's very interesting, especially with all the concentration of not-for-profit experience that I had from being in the auditing world. And then I got my treasurer's license from the treasurer from Struthers.
Okay.
So then after that, then I embarked on, traveling all through Northeast Ohio, working at the small district, a mid-sized district, a larger district, and then at Warrensville for the last 10 years with Marie.
Okay.
And that led me then to coming to Youngstown. And the reason I wanted to say all those steps is because I wouldn't change anything of my whole career and life that led me here.
Okay.
Because now I feel that I am totally prepared to come back to Youngstown with my pride as a Youngstown
There you go.
person and to really make a difference and apply all of my expertise that I've gotten.
So for such a time as these, Pastor Donaldson and I talk about that all the time, is that for such a time as these, we've been prepared for this time here in Youngstown. And so, people know me by now. I probably say some things I shouldn't say, wear my emotions and my feelings about how I feel about Youngstown and defending the Youngstown on my sleeve. And so I believe that you guys were brought to us. And so I'm glad to hear those things. So let's talk a little bit more about, I like to talk, even though, I know Mr. Jolly, we were pretty good friends, and I know we kind of stole you guys from Warrensville, but, he's been absolutely great, him and his board. But to me, it matters that you guys are coming from Warrensville. Because I tell my team all the time, I really watch what Warrensville has been watching for the last 3-4 years that I've been superintendent, what Warrensville has been able to do. I used to spend a lot of time. I used to come up there to the Randall Park Mall when I was a kid. I went to John Carroll University, so I actually had a former roommate who graduated from Warrensville. So I'm familiar with the district and the community. And for me, it's a smaller Youngstown. And so I've told people all the time that we can learn some things from Warrensville. And so I've been watching what Mr. Jolly and you guys have been doing. And so for you guys to come to Youngstown, it means a lot to me. And so let's talk about maybe some of the lessons that we can learn from Warrensville and the things that you guys have done up there.
Well, my specialty is payroll, and I'm working hand in hand with the payroll department.
Okay.
And what I'm doing is putting things into place because we've already been through kind of what you all are going through right now in Youngstown.
Right.
So I've had the experience of putting a team together, what we're doing. We have a great team with Stephanie and Emily, and they're very helpful. And for the short time they've been here, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So I'm taking my 23 years of payroll experience and kind of putting things into place so we can be in compliance with the auditors and also teaching them different.
And then, and in addition to that, 10 years of us working together with my leadership influence on Marie.
Yes.
And how we've come to having great customer service. So she already knows my style. So that's like you're getting like a team with us coming here. And I think that's important for us.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I will say at Warrensville that I witnessed was build it and they will come. Because when I first came on there in my first year, the enrollment was 1,500.
Okay.
We built new schools. Now the enrollment's 2,000. So 500 students came back.
There it is.
Yeah. So
There
I
it
mean,
is.
so when you build it, and it doesn't have to just be new buildings though. It could be the program.
Absolutely.
That's really where it is. The program.
Absolutely. And I know I've talked to Mr. Jolly and just hearing you guys and say some things, that's kind of what our vision is. The one vision, one Youngstown is that, we're not going to compromise who we are. We actually want to build, and I always tell people all the time, we have to recruit our own children. And that's the nature of public education today. And that doesn't mean you soften the standards or you go out and put on a circus every day. You create programs and create systems that allow for the adults that want to be here, payroll and getting payroll right. So it makes our employees happy. And then that makes them do a better job or even better job educating our young people. And folks in the community want to see us do new things, innovative things. And that means that they'll maybe choose Youngstown instead of some other opportunities that they have. So I'm excited about how we can put it all together, the things that our team is already working on, and then you guys are going to be able to help us with some financial pieces in the board to be able to get those things done. So, all right, let's dig into a little bit about school finance, because I always say this podcast is also about educating our community as well, okay? And, we had our former treasurer on a couple of years ago, and we talked a little bit about the state of where we are. But school finance is complex. Okay. And I always say everybody thinks they can run a school because they went to school. And that's not quite the case. But let's talk about the complex terms of school finance, like millage and 5-year forecasts and house bills. On a leadership level, how do you translate these numbers into stories that parents and other stakeholders and children understand?
Exactly. You have to come up with a story that relates to the stakeholder. You know, if the stakeholder is a taxpayer, you have to relate to the taxpayer.
Right.
If it's a parent, you have to relate to the parent. So you have to present it in such a way that it relates to whoever's reading it or being presented to. And I was lucky that early in my journey, I partnered with a very famous author, Dr. Spivey, who wrote the Blue Book on school finance.
Okay.
And about 15 years ago, I joined up with him, and I was the one that would edit and bring the book to current terms.
Okay.
But I always admired that book from the beginning, and I used to always get it for the board members because it was an easy read.
Okay.
He took the complexities out of Ohio school finance, and you would read it, and it was easy to read.
Okay.
So I have to say that, you know, after working with him, I've learned a lot of that to, you know, whittle it down, make it to where it's something that's understandable.
Okay.
So in school finance, if you're talking about our budgets or something, you want to talk about the checkbook. You know, we're on the cash basis here, so cash goes in and cash goes out. We don't have accounts payables or accounts receivable, even though we need to know about those for our budgets.
Right.
So sometimes you need to explain that, where it's a checkbook, you know, and certainly, you know, when we get into when we're talking about tax levies, we want to know how much is going to cost a taxpayer on their house. And to know, like, even at that last board meeting, you know, there was a lot of things that we talked about, but I showed a before and after.
Yeah.
So you could see an example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's honing in on my most important thing that I would say is when we're communicating, to give takeaways.
Okay.
And Marie will tell you, I always say, let's stick to the facts, right?
Yes.
What are the
I like that. I like that. All right. So Marie, anything you want to add?
So with payroll, our day-to-day, in the life of payroll, we have different things that's going on per month. Every payroll is not the same. It could be W-2s, supplementals. So a lot of times the employees, well, what do you do when it's not a payroll week? We have a lot to do.
Yes.
Every week is different, but we have plenty to do. And most importantly, we want everyone to be paid 100% correct.
Yeah.
We want you come, you work, you help with our students. So that is our goal, to make sure that our employees are paid correct and we stay into compliance.
And I can attest, you know, it definitely is different. And, you know, working in a school system, especially in Ohio, it's not like working at Walmart. I need folks to understand that. You know, even we hire people all the time and they don't quite understand how you get paid a little differently. They don't understand stretch pay, those types of things. I'm gonna be honest with you. For a long time, I didn't understand stretch pay when I first, you know, early on in my career. And so those are things that I know you guys have to understand, have to work on. And like you said, every pay is different. And I think that's something that the community and people who don't work in school districts don't quite get. But I need you to understand that every pay is different in school districts, not just in Youngstown, but every school district. But I would say Youngstown is probably even more complex with our bargaining units and different things that we have. There's just a lot that has to be done. That's why we need the right people in the seats on the bus.
When it goes back into history too, is when school districts first came out. Number one, your treasurer was a board member.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, the treasurer contract was calendar year. So you had all these ones that went, you know, with school year, beginning of the school year, but then you had the treasurer and they went from January 1 to December 31st.
Right.
But and along with that, you know, teachers or all the employees were just paid during the school year.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to June. Now that was your primary job. you'd have to go get a secondary job or something for July and August, or you had to save up for those
Right.
2 or 3 months. So then finally they came to the point where they offered the stretch pay.
Right.
And that's what takes it out and makes it into like a salary.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, it does get confusing. And it's a phenomenon that I continue to study. Marie will tell you that, because I'll tell her, oh, that's funny, this time of the year. So like one of the times of the years that's consistent is during December.
Okay.
Because you just look at it. In December, there's 10 work days for 2 weeks, and then maybe 2 other days that are paid holidays.
Yeah.
So you got 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a total of 20 days that you're paid for. So on those 20 days, there's 8 days that you didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still paying you on those days. So the system needs to know those have to be paydays. So prior to December, in earlier months, it pulls out a little bit in order to have something to pay you for those days that are days that you
Right.
wouldn't have worked,
Right.
even though they're non-contract days, or even if they are.
Yeah.
So that's like part of the phenomenon. So it's like always like depending on if someone severs employment between the school year, in the middle of the school year,
Right.
they could come, there's 2 options. We either owe them a payout, or they might owe us back
Right.
because of the stretch pay. And it's very unique. But the whole spirit of it is that you get paid when there's on breaks,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get paid when there's the big break, in the summertime.
And I can personally attest. I mean, it's definitely a lot that goes on, but it's a blessing to work in Ohio and work in Ohio school system and have qualified folks that can make sure you get your money right. My friends down in North Carolina, last Friday, I believe they just got their first pay since the middle of December.
Holy cow.
So in North Carolina, we get paid once a month. And you always get paid early before Christmas. So you get paid probably that Friday before Christmas, and then you don't get paid again until January 30th. So you got to be able to budget your money. And I can tell you, as a young teacher, I didn't do such a good job with that when I was first down there. But it is wonderful to be able to know you're going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks, so you can just do your job and worry about educating kids and doing what's supposed to be done. And don't get me wrong, there's great things that go on in the city and states in North Carolina too. But that's a lot to go for almost a month and a half without a paycheck.
Yeah, that's a month.
I don't care
and a
how
half.
good you are with your money. That's a lot. So
Wow.
I know my friends got paid last Friday. I still got a lot of friends down there. So y'all don't spend it all at one time. Okay. All right, Dr. Rock, you touched on it a little bit, that you are a Struthers native and a YSU alum. Now that you return home to the Valley, what is, and you kind of touched on it already, but maybe expound, what does it mean that you're now the guy that is responsible and can be strategic about, being the steward of the resources for the Youngstown City School District and the children and the families of Youngstown?
Well, strategic is the most important word there. I'm 100% vested to be back home, and 100% vested to do what we need to do for our scholars.
Yes.
And it's just like we've said, we roll it down to one simple rule amongst us.
Mm-hmm.
Every dollar that we have is a dollar that could be spent towards our scholars,
That's it.
a dollar that could be spent in the classroom.
Mhm.
And that's my job, is to find a way to make sure that we maximize those dollars.
Yes.
But then we have to minimize the impact to taxpayers. And that's where the whole term of strategical financial planning, strategic financial planning
Right.
is so important. And those are my goals,
Okay.
to keep us strategic with our resources to where we maximize every dollar we have that goes to our scholars and to our classrooms.
I don't believe you can ask for much more than that from your treasurer, and then as the person who works directly with him and responsible for the educational system of what we're doing for our young people, making sure that what we're doing is helping to enhance the education that your children get. But as he said, being responsible and good stewards of your dollars. And don't get me wrong, there are some things that you probably are like, well, why are they spending money on that? But trust and believe, every decision we make, I can tell you, under my leadership, is going to be about what is best for kids, what is best for our young people, the people that we're putting in front of them, from coaches to custodians to everything that we do. It's about putting the best product in front of your young people to give them the chance to be successful. And it's good to have a partner in that's going to make sure we have the dollars to do it, but also be able to tell me, Mr. Batchelor, slow down. You're doing too much. All right. That's part of his job too. All right. And I respect that a lot. So looking 3 to 5 years down the road, Doc, what is your vision for ensuring Youngstown City Schools remains not just financially stable, but doing what you said, able to innovate things for our young people?
3 to 5 years down the road, I want us to be able to look at our reconfiguration plan and see the success of it. I mean, because we're going to make it successful, even if we have to adjust along the way. But by 3 or 5 years, we're going to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor there. So that, and then along with that, again, comes with that strategic financial planning and our cash flow management too.
Okay.
You know, and you got to be strategic with your cash flow. Cash is king. So, and after 5 years, I envision that we'd be looking at it and saying, well, we did a good job, and that, you know, this is why we've landed where we did. But it'll be, right now, we're in the hard part of working hard. And there was one superintendent I worked with, and she used to always say, you know, we're at the table here, and we're like those ducks, you know, where you can't see the ducks paddle in the water real fast underneath the water. You know, we're working real hard, even though we're just standing here like this. We're paddling hard because we are working hard to get it done, and we will.
Absolutely.
But I think that's my vision is, you know, 3 to 5 years, we're going to be able to see the fruits of our success with the reconfiguration plan.
Like I said, one of the things that I often do is maybe say too much, but payroll has, you know, traditionally had some concerns in our district. Okay, and so you, as you said twice, that you're really spending a lot of your time with payroll. So what can you say to our employees that as our vision for what payroll looks like on that side of the fiscal table?
Trust us. Give us a little bit of time. We're getting everything together. We know what we're doing.
There you go.
And we work really well as a team. Me and Dr. Rock, we have the office set up where he tackles one end and I tackle the other. So just trust us. We're working on it. If you have any questions or any problems, please reach out to me. You can email me, call me, and I can address any issues that you have.
You know, we want you to be satisfied
Yes.
with, you know, your questions. Sometimes you might not like the answers,
Right.
but we're factual, and here's the facts. But we do provide the customer service, so if they have questions, come and see us.
I can definitely say, and you guys have been here, what, a month, officially a month to
Yeah.
you, and then right at a month here in a couple of days, and I've already heard those things. I've seen it myself, number one, but I've already heard those things from some employees that I've talked to. You guys are approachable, and like you said, you're not always going to. Not Burger King. Customer's not always right. So you're not going to always hear exactly what you want, but at least you get an answer. And that's, I think that's really all we can promise and really all our folks can expect. And that's really good information. A lot of times, listen, treasurers sometimes get a bad rap that they know the numbers, you know, and they've even said to me, well, Mr. Batchelor, I count the numbers. I don't deal with people. I like the fact that you guys have been deal with people and you count the numbers. So, you know, I've already, a couple of reporters have called me already this week and like, you know, I want to talk about such and such. I'm like, well, that might be a conversation for Dr. Rock. He hasn't shied away from those conversations either. So we're going to continue to work really well together. All right, those are really all my questions. But, you know, what I always do as we get ready to end the show is I give people an opportunity to kind of just say what they want to say to the community. Any last words of wisdom or encouragement or, hey, a challenge to the community. So I want to start with you, Ms. Spivey. Any last words you want to say to our community?
First of all, Mr. Batchelor, thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you for trusting in us and giving us the opportunity. We are definitely not going to let you down.
Okay. All right.
Whatever we need to do, we're going to do.
All right.
I have 2 things to say. Is that okay?
Yes.
So, I like how you said that. Now I lost my train of thought all of a sudden. Well, the other one is at Warrensville for 10 years. Marie was the hometown.
Right.
person.
Now you're the hometown
Now
guy.
it's the
You get
reverse.
the hometown.
Yeah. So, but it's cool though. I think that's a nice interaction between the two of us.
Absolutely.
It was back about the being public and working with people. You know, it was funny when I graduated from YSU, I went into public accounting purely because I liked dealing with, you know, I wanted to deal with clients.
Okay.
And all of my moves at the different CPA firms that I worked at, my main thing was, well, am I going to be able to work with the clients? Will I, work with them? And at one point I went from a real big firm that I worked on the clients, but, I was bottom of the list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went for a smaller firm because then I knew I could talk to clients on the phone and stuff. Everybody has met me. I'm a people person. So, and I think that's one of my strong points, but that's why I'm so glad to be here. And the other thing is, and I said this in my interview, they said, why Youngstown? Why Youngstown?
Right.
And I said, well, I'm glad you asked. I had it. I had a list and it was handwritten.
Yeah.
And, there's just something about Youngstown that, and I've traveled Northeast Ohio, went all the way up to the corner of Ashtabula, down to Cleveland area, even where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I've circled it all around, and Youngstown is still unique. We stick together.
Mm-hmm.
We have great morals, and our parents brought us up in such a way to be hard workers, to be trustworthy. And these are things that you just don't see in the other areas. I'm sorry to call it out, but Youngstown, we stick together. Even your enemies, if they come and pick on you and you're with your enemies, the enemy will stick together. And it's just
we might
that
fight
way.
again later on, but during that
If
time,
you're going to pick us from the outside, we're gonna team up together.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Youngstown pride,
Yeah.
and you don't see that anywhere else. And that's that really drove me here to to come back. And near the end of my career that I've accumulated, and I don't want to ring my own bell and say that I'm totally experienced or an expert. You're never a total expert. You're always got to be willing to learn. There's always another way to slice bread, or but to bring my past experiences and apply them somewhere to help us to really make a move to defend the why.
Youngstown, this has been one of, well, let's see, 2026 just started, but I'll say this has been my favorite episode of 2026 for sure. Listen, the board, I need the community to also understand. Like I said, I like to try to make sure our community is really understanding where we are. So they can't say, well, I didn't know that. We're telling you now. And I need you to understand, your Board of Education, the 7 individuals that you've elected as a duly elected board are doing a great job as well. And this right here is an example of their work. All right. I didn't hire Dr. Rock. They hired Dr. Rock. I was fortunate that they allowed me to be a part of the process and, listen to some advisement. But they are the ones who made that decision. And we had a search, and the search did not yield what they were looking for. And so instead of just rushing to hire someone, they stopped and said, we're going to go continue to search till we find the right fit for Youngstown. Those were their words, not mine. And I say that because sometimes the board gets beat up. Sometimes we get beat up because Youngstown is what it is. We're still the only school district in academic distress, which we should not be. And I'll get off of that high horse. But this hire here speaks to the work that has been done in Youngstown. It speaks to the discipline that our board has to get it right. Speaks to the discipline that we have as a team, because Dr. Rock has not come in and said, you guys are killing me with all this stuff you got going on. He's like, we can make this work. That means we've been doing something right. Now, payroll might be another issue. But I'm just happy to have I'll say not a partner in the work, that we can work with the board directly to do the work of the city of Youngstown. We do not take this work lightly. We believe that as so goes Youngstown City Schools, so goes the city of Youngstown, and vice versa. And so we got a lot of work to do as we continue to build this one vision, one Youngstown, and defend the why. So I'm going to get out of your hair. We're going to get back to work and keep working on some things. So until next time, Youngstown, keep running it until they stop it.